Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon,
Hi,
Toby.
good afternoon, Dr. Lopez.
How are you?
Yeah, kamusta?
Good afternoon po. We're still waiting for the moderators.
Sige.
Okay.
Ano yung moderator, ha? Si
Our moderators
Randy?
will be Sir Randy Oliva and Miss Marie Marciano.
Okay.
Jofer?
Yes, sir. Yes, Doc.
Yeah, can I try sharing my screen for
Sure.
my talk later?
Are you going to
Okay.
operate it yourself po?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
But did you get a copy of my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes po. I just received it earlier.
Oh, okay. Because you could actually operate it. I'll just tell you when to.
Sure po. Sure.
Pwede naman, right?
Po.
What would work better, you think?
Well, okay lang naman po if I operate it myself, but I think since it's your time, if you want to control it yourself, it's okay din po.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I just asked him to control it na lang po. Hindi ko na isipin.
Sige po, okay na po.
Jofer, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Okay,
Hi,
so
Dr.
Ma'am Tessa is
Lopez.
here.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi. So Jofer, you already have the presentation of Dr. Lopez?
Yes.
And Dr. Lopez, will you operate it or you want Jofer to operate it?
Well, Jofer could. Just tell him when to move to the next slide.
Okay, sure po.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Actually, we will have mga participants from other parts of the country. We've been
Okay.
giving summits. We've had three already.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have participants from Palawan, from Cebu, from Mindanao, and of course from Luzon, even
Okay.
outside of Metro Manila.
Okay.
All right. So we
Hi,
have.
Tessa.
Hi. Hello,
Hmm.
Toby. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Nothing yung...
Okay. This is exciting because we have, I think, well, as of now, we've just asked mga 60 participants to be with us, but we're recording it and we will put it in our Facebook. We've received actually mga almost 100 interested participants.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so okay. We're excited for this Kamayan.
This is the first time you're doing it this way?
Yes, oo. Actually, we have it every month, hindi ba? But
Noon, di ba?
Oo, but when
Kamayan talaga.
Oo nga, we didn't have one itong starting March, April, May.
Yeah.
And now we're having it again in June. We'll continue, and I think in July we'll have another session.
Oh, great.
So it will be monthly na. If this becomes successful. And I'm sure it will be successful. It's an exciting topic.
Where's the link?
For a while, okay? I'll see you in a while.
Sige.
Sige.
Where's the link?
Sandali, Papa. Wait. Ito. Ito na lang. Kasi parang... Unmute muna.
Hello.
And once we start, I think everybody will be muted except for our resource speakers and our moderators.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Our moderator, si Marie, is already there.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah.
Where's my co-moderator?
Yeah, he's setting up.
Okay.
Okay, Carlo. Is Tim? Is Mark there? He will start the opening prayer.
That's right. He should be there.
Okay, let me call him.
I'm here, Miss.
Okay, excuse me for a while.
Where are you, Mark?
Just setting up my camera.
Okay, all right. Uy, special camera pa yan?
No, hindi naman.
Kala ko special camera pa yan eh.
So Mark, you're there already? Maybe we should introduce you to our resource speakers. Mark is a board member and he's with LaSalle.
Yes, good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Mark, what does LIFE stand for again?
Lasallian Institute for the Environment.
Oh.
We are under De La Salle, Philippines, directly working with the brothers.
All right. Okay.
Okay, we have other participants. Later on, at the end of our webinar, we will take a snapshot of all the participants. So hang on, everyone, until the end.
Ooh, how do
Okay.
I have to put, wait, how do, I have to put out a file.
Wait.
How do I do that? Maybe I should sign off first. Ooh, where am I? I'm lost. Can I will leave for a while, okay? I have to put,
Wait, why is Dr. Galang calling us?
I don't know, but I'm leaving for a while.
Hi, everyone. I see you, Toby.
Hi.
Hello. Ilan na ba tayo?
Kumusta, Randy?
Eto, okay. Good. You're right. You're on.
Nakamute pala.
Ayos lang. You're at home, Tobs?
Yeah.
Okay. Galing. Ilan na ba tayo?
We're around, we're 37 already.
Okay. So, mga siguro, what do you suggest? We have a total of how many pre-registrants? Mga 100 plus?
Wait.
Actually, we're only accepting 60 since this is the first time
Apa.
to do this.
Okay. 60, okay.
But there were around 120 who pre-registered.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, so maybe at halfway mark, can we start? Siguro puno na yung jeep by then? Andar na tayo? Yes, what do you say?
Bakit? Sino yung umiiyak lang?
Yeah, Dr. Galang is trying to enter. So she just asked for the password.
Hi, Divina. Long time no see.
Okay, she's here.
Good.
Oh, I was mute. Hello, Toby.
Tagal na.
Oh. I saw Marie Cordo last year.
Oh, andito siya.
Oh, where are you?
Yeah, sa bahay. I'm at home.
Yeah, aren't we all home?
Okay, I see Dr. Galang now. Oh my gosh, I can't hear you.
Sa mute siguro.
She's still connecting to the audio po.
Okay.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Loud enough?
Yes.
That's good. Randy, hi.
Hey, where are you? Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, I see
Let's say
you.
when. It's 2:30.
Is it?
Aandar na ba yung jeep natin? Puno na kaya yung jeep natin?
I don't know.
We're 35 already po.
35? Okay. All right.
Still waiting for the 25
How do we know?
others.
How do I know when to start?
We'll let you know once we have a good when napuno
No,
na yung
but
mga
I mean,
studio
you know,
natin.
like biglang good afternoon, ganyan.
Yeah.
Kailan yung ano yung cue?
Joffrey will tell you kung medyo pwede na tayo. Kasi we have a lot of pre-registrants, no? I think over 100, 120. But siguro we'll have to limit it to 60 lang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually sent the details to 60 participants only.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe if we reach 40, we can start already.
Oo, pwede. Sige.
So far, am I too loud?
Sorry.
Am I too loud?
It's okay. It's okay.
No, you're not. Good luck, everybody. Break a leg.
This is going to be an adventure for some of us who are relatively new
That's
at
right.
the Zoom platform, no?
Well, I'm more nervous now than in the actual Kamayan, you know, because I haven't done this for ages.
May taga-kamayan ba dito? Baka dapat mag-serve ng pagkain.
Okay. Meron ng mga messages Pumapasok
Okay, so actually
That's
we're
why we
30
should have
already, we're 39 already, Sir Randy and Miss Mar.
Okay.
Start siguro.
All right.
Yeah.
Sige.
Okay.
Marie?
Okay.
Oo, pwede na.
Good afternoon. You have joined Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum, the live online broadcast. Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum is a monthly environmental forum organized by Green Convergence for safe food, healthy environment, and sustainable economy, Kamayan Restaurant, and Forest Foundation, Philippines. Let's prepare ourselves for the opening prayer to be led by Mark Tinao, a board member of Green Convergence and National Coordinator of Life De La Salle, Philippines. Mark?
All right. Let us all remember that we are in the presence of our Lord. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. Thank you that you know each of us by name, and you have caused us to walk with you. We are dependent on you, and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we welcome you amongst us here today and celebrate the gift of life that you have lavished on each of us. We ask that you would open our ears so that we may hear your voice. Open our minds so that we may receive your eternal wisdom. And open our spirits so that we may know your leading and guidance. And open our hearts so that we may receive your wonderful love. All this we ask through your mighty name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Welcome everyone. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Isang makakalikasan at mainit na pagtanggap sa inyong lahat. This is the 360th session of Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum. And we have been doing this for the past 30 years. We started in 1990, and March of this year was supposed to be our 30th anniversary, but we didn't have that session because of COVID-19, as you know. And today we are having our first online broadcast. So this is historical too. But this is also a belated 30th anniversary presentation. Welcome, everyone. Before we before we move on, I would like to let's welcome the President of Green Convergence, Dr. Nina Galang. Nina? Are you there, Nina? Oh, where's Nina?
Actually, she's connected to her audio already.
She's
Baka
what?
sa Wi-Fi po. Sa Wi-Fi po siguro.
Okay, but I can't hear her. Is she?
Yeah.
Not so strong, Nina. Not so audible.
Okay, then let's see how we are going to do this. But before we bring her in, if she's not ready, I would like to talk about how we are going to proceed with the forum. We're going to do it the usual way as we do it in the restaurant, in Kamayan restaurant, with a few adjustments because we are online. So the program or the event, the forum proper is divided into 3 parts. Okay, the first part is when we listen to our resource speakers. Oh, we have such eminent speakers today, very expert, really experts in their field, and I'm sure you're going to love hearing them. So that's the first part. We listen to them, but no questions will be entertained at this time. Participants are requested to take down your questions so that you will not forget. You will ask them in the second portion. Questions will be taken one after the other, and the answers will not be given immediately, but will have to wait until the third portion, which is when all the answers to all the questions will be given. Okay? So that we know what to expect. So I hope that's clear. No questions will be entertained on the first part, in the first part. Second part will be purely questions. So is Nina ready now? Hello, Nina, are you ready?
We are ready.
Okay, I can hear you actually. But it's
Yeah, I can
too
hear her,
loud.
but it's rather faint.
Yeah.
Can you raise the volume, Nina, of your laptop or?
Joffer might be able to raise the volume.
No, actually, it's on her app.
Wi-Fi na.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi niya.
It's a Wi-Fi problem.
Yeah, could be.
So, okay, our topic for today is addressing the challenges of COVID-19 the ecological way. And Dr. Nina Galang is president of Green Convergence, the organizer of this forum, was supposed to give the formal welcome to all of you, to talk about what are the challenges maybe that challenges of COVID-19 that we can address naturally the ecological way. And this is what our resource speakers will talk about. We know this is a very big problem. We are all affected. It's worldwide. It's not just the Philippines. So we have to learn all that we can about it. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay? Before I proceed, oh, by the way, I haven't introduced myself. I am Marie Marciano, Vice President of Green Convergence, and I would like to introduce my co-moderator, Mr. Randy Oliva. Hi, Randy.
Hi, all.
Say something.
Hello, hello. This is going to be our first Zoom meeting. No? Kabayan para sa Kalikasan on Zoom. It's a brand new platform where it's going to be an adventure for some of us who have never gone through a Zoom teleconference yet, but we'll have fun for sure.
Yes. Be patient. This is our first broadcast. So let's just have fun, okay? Before we introduce our guests, we would like to introduce the house rules to be given by Randy.
All right. So everybody, Marie already gave the program flow. No? Everybody who have been around with us during the past Kamayan para sa Kalikasan are familiar. They are familiar with that flow. But since, like I said, it's the first time that we're doing it on Zoom, on an online platform, we will have to have house rules. No? And the house rules are installed to ensure that there's going to be an order. Kasi ang dami natin. We'll probably get past 60, no? Or hopefully 60 participants, and it's going to be messy if walang house rules.
That's
Number
right.
one house rule would be all participants' audios will have to be muted while the speakers are talking or making their presentation. So we will shut off all distracting noise, yung pagtitilaok ng manok ng kapitbahay, yung aso, kung may nagtatahol, no? All these things or comments will be prohibited until the open forum. Okay? The participants will be allowed to speak during the open forum. Okay? Second would be, if you have questions while while the speakers are making their presentations, you may jot it down and use the chat function. No? You'll see this if you tap, for those who are not familiar with the dashboard, tap on your photos or your video. Once you tap that, below on the bottom right of the screen is the function more. No? You tap that, may function doon chat. You tap the chat, and then you have an option again whether you can send to everyone or send to a specific person in the room. Okay? In this case, please tap on my name, no, Randy Oliva, so you can send your questions directly to me. This I will collect and relay to the speakers, no, for responding. Okay, so you have a choice of either coming up with your own questions personally by simply raising your hand. You will be acknowledged, and then you'll be given the floor. Okay. The third house rule would be participants are expected to be respectful with each other and observe online etiquette. Speaking of online etiquette, that's your cue, Marie.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yes, everyone is also expected to observe online etiquette, such as, this is just a few examples. 1, be still and attentive. Make sure there are no distracting movements or background on the video. 2, settle in a quiet spot where your face will be well lit and noise is 0 to minimal. We want to see you clearly. 3, take notes if needed. 4, be patient, yes, with technical difficulties. These are normal, as you know, in online broadcasts. 5, introduce yourself properly before speaking, meaning say your name, your school or your organization or where you come from, and don't speak out of turn. And lastly, look at the camera, not the screen, when talking. Okay, so now we are going to proceed. Oh, by the way, Dr. Nina, if your microphone is fine now, just butt in, okay? We want to hear you. We want to hear from you, and we want to see you. So, having said that, we are now going to part one of the forum proper, which is when we listen to our eminent speakers. To introduce our first speaker, let's have Randy again.
All right. Thank you, Marie. I have the privilege of introducing a close friend, a classmate from grade school, high school, and onwards.
Wow.
He's an academician at the National Academy of Science and Technology. He is the current president of the Integrated Chemists of the Philippines. He is also the Professor Emeritus, Department of Chemistry at the Ateneo de Manila University, Loyola Heights, Quezon City. All right, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend, Dr. Fabian Toby Dairit, my friend and classmate.
Yeah, maraming salamat. Maraming salamat, Randy. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm very pleased to be able to meet all of you and share some of my insights on this pandemic. I would like to thank the organizers of this webinar, Green Convergence Philippines, and especially, of course, Dr. Nina Galang, Randy and Tessa Oliva. And as Randy said, we've come a long way. And of course, the other co-host, Ms. Marie Marciano. And greetings also to Dr. Joel Lopez, who is my co-speaker. So while coconut oil might not strike you as a effective cure for COVID-19, but we usually think about drugs and vaccines, I hope that this talk will convince you of the power of this simple and affordable solution. I hope this presentation will convince you that with coconut oil, nature may have provided us with one of the cures. This presentation is not meant to diminish the need for the development of vaccines or other effective cures. At the very least, I hope to convince you that coconut oil can be an effective nutritional supplement, especially during the next few months when vaccines will still not be available. So next slide, please. I have two quotations here, and I'll explain why I have these two quotations. The first one is a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. It's sort of not exactly those words, but very similar to it. This really applies to me because this area of vaccines and immune system and viruses is not really my main line, but I've read a lot about it this past 4 months because of COVID, and I'd like to share with you what I know. But again, just to warn you that I'm not the expert on this. The second one on the bottom, only wholeness leads to clarity. And what this really refers to is our knowledge of this virus and the disease, COVID-19. If you've been following the news, almost every other day there's something new that's brought up about it. So in fact, we don't know everything about this virus and not everything about the disease that it causes. So we really don't have the wholeness, and so that's why we're all confused and we don't really have clarity about it. But I guess that's a fact of life. Some of the things I say now may change next month if there are new discoveries. But anyway, that's where we are. So now we'll just go from there. So next slide, please. This is the article that started it all, January 31, 2020, so it's almost 4 months ago, 4.5 months ago. The news about the Wuhan virus started coming out early January, and it was becoming clear then that this would be a big pandemic. It wasn't declared a pandemic then, but certainly something of concern. And so I'd done quite a bit of readings on coconut. So I went back to the literature and looked up what was known about coconut then. And I consulted also with Dr. Mary Newport, who's an American medical doctor, a pediatrician, who used coconut oil for Alzheimer's. And so we collaborated and put together this article, which we put up on the social media. Basically, it is a review of what was known about coconut oil and its antiviral properties. And while we were not promising a cure, we said that coconut oil has potential to be a cure. And it picked up a lot of interest. And so, one thing led to another, and this is where we are now. But since then, I've learned new things about coconut, which were not mentioned in this article. So next slide, please. So this is the outline. I'll talk about the virus, SARS-CoV-2, and the disease, COVID-19, and then talk a little about coconut oil, the potential of coconut oil against the virus, and then how we can survive the disease. Next slide. So, just to bring everyone on the same page. So the severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, it's a long name, is the virus that causes the disease, which is COVID-19. So it was classified as a respiratory attack on the respiratory system. Next slide. Now, since the year 2000, there have been 7 viral epidemics. So if you look at the plot and you look at, later, year 2000, there have been 7 viral epidemics since then, and 3 of these have been coronaviruses. So those coronaviruses are SARS-CoV, that's the first one, 2002, MERS-CoV, 2012, and then SARS-CoV-2. Next slide. And the frequency of viral epidemics has been increasing. So if you look at, I drew a line, 1950. So that was basically after World War II. There were 8 viral epidemics between 1950 and the year 2000. That's 8. And then from the year 2000 to 2019, there have been 7. So obviously you can see from the line that the frequency of viral epidemics is increasing. And a lot of this has been linked to encroachment on nature and so forth. And all indications are that SARS-CoV-2 is likely to circulate in the environment or in society for quite a long time. So we have to be ready for this in the long haul.
Yung kunyari kung ikaw yung may laptop, papakita mo yung...
Yeah. Next slide, please. Now, just a little about the virus. So SARS-CoV-2 measures 80 to 120 nanometers in diameter. Now, nanometers, if you've heard about nanotechnology, the size of the virus is it's a nanoparticle. Now, as environmentalists, you may have been familiar with PM 2.5. PM 2.5 are the pollutants in the air. And PM 2.5 is 2.5 microns. Now, 2.5 microns is about 2,000, more than 250 times, 2,000 times larger than this virus. So the PM 2.5, we warn against it because the small size means that it will enter the lungs because of its small size. And the virus is 2,000 times smaller than PM 2.5. So you can imagine that this small virus can really get into your system. It's in the air and so forth. So that's one of the dangers of this small nanoparticle. It's a natural nanoparticle. Next slide. Now this virus has 4 structural proteins. And I've highlighted the S protein, the spike protein, which are shown in the figure. And then there are others, envelope membrane protein and nucleocapsid protein. We won't talk about those. But just to show you that there are several proteins present in this virus. But it's the S spike protein that enables the virus to attach to the receptors in the body. on the membrane of the body's host. And recent studies have revealed that the S spike protein has a mutation from SARS-CoV-1 that gives it higher infectivity and pathogenicity. So there I just listed quite a number of articles that show studies about this S spike protein. Next slide. Now the overview of maybe you can back up a little. The overview of the anti-SARS-CoV-2 strategies. One is to target proteins. So you can target the S protein or the proteins inside that I mentioned earlier, or you can also target the DNA or RNA in the virus. In this case, SCOV-2 is an RNA virus. So a lot of the work being done on drugs are to design drugs that will either target the proteins, and in particular the S protein, or the proteins which or to block the RNA expression. And so you use either drugs or vaccines for these. The next slide. Now, the other thing is you also target the lipid membrane. As you can see in the figure, at least it's drawn in red, is you have the lipid membrane. And the SARS-CoV-2 belongs to this beta coronavirus class of viruses, which can be effectively inactivated by lipid solvents. And the lipid membrane is derived from the host cell, and it's not subject to mutation. So if you read the news, people worry that if the virus mutates, the drugs will become ineffective. In this case, the lipid membrane is not subject to mutation. So in a way, it's less changeable than if you target the RNA or the protein. Next slide. Now the other, what we talked about is direct targeting of the virus. But the other thing we can do is you can strengthen your immune system. So there are immune enhancing strategies, which unfortunately are not talked about as often. And these include having a healthy lifestyle, so diet, exercise, wellness, taking some key vitamins and minerals, vitamin C especially, and vitamin D, minerals, zinc as also mentioned, and of course what we'll talk about in this presentation is coconut oil. So next slide. So this is other set of strategies is we talk about your immune system and health. Now, unfortunately, when you talk about viruses, people are automatically afraid of virus. They're usually associated with disease. But if you think about evolution, humans and all animals, all organisms have evolved in the presence of viruses. So viruses are all around us. We cannot get rid of viruses. They're part of nature. And so I've listed here 3 articles which really discuss virus in context. So the first one is the role of viruses in human evolution. So this talks about, as you can see, it's the yearbook of physical anthropology. So they talk about how viruses have intervened in human evolution, in some in favorable ways or other not so favorable ways. The second article says, move over bacteria. Viruses make their mark as mutualistic microbial symbionts. Similar to bacteria, not all bacteria are bad as well. There are good bacteria and there are bad or pathogenic bacteria. It's the same with viruses. There are beneficial viruses and there are harmful viruses. So it's just something we have to evolve with. And then the third article is that it really focuses on the good that viruses do. So it's sort of trying to balance the picture that viruses are not always bad. And they're also essential for some, well, of course, they're part of evolution. So there are good things which some viruses do have. Next slide. Now, the second aspect of the immune system, and this is maybe a bit more complex, is that humans have evolved 2 immune mechanisms. One is called the innate immunity, And the second one is adaptive or acquired immunity. Now, if we look at the next slide, it's just a brief explanation. Innate immunity is what is always on. So even minutes, and actually innate immunity, sometimes people even include the skin. Skin is a barrier against viruses. Within minutes, up to hours and days, the innate immunity is what keeps us protected against viruses. And listed there are those various immune system molecules, cells, which protect us as part of the innate immunity. I highlighted the IgM because people talk about that. Like when you get infected, the first immunoglobulin that is measured is IgM. Now, after a few days, your body learns to recognize the viral attack, and that's when you get to the adaptive immunity. The adaptive immunity is actually more powerful than innate immunity, and this is the IgG, which they will measure. If you have IgG, and this lasts for a long time, weeks or months, it's what's supposed to keep you immune against repeated attacks from the virus. And I've encircled some of these bodies, which we will talk about later. So when you talk about the B cell, the T cell, CD4, CD8, these are members of the adaptive immunity system. So that's the immune system, and these are things which we all have. But then the efficiency with which they can protect us depends on how healthy we are. So we have to keep healthy, keep our immune system working well. Next slide, please. So yeah, okay. So the third point is that the immune system can be weakened with age, poor nutrition, obesity, disease, pollution, and others. So I guess age is just really damaged with years. That's why I guess they say over 60, then your immune system gets weaker. But then you can, try to take care of yourself, like Randy, and exercise and keep dancing, and you get a good immune system. Next slide. Yeah. Now, these are some of the effects. One of the things which they also always mention as harmful to our immune system is obesity. Obesity causes many dysfunctions. So, in the paper on the right, it gives you what happens when you have obesity. Then you have your comorbidities, the respiratory dysfunction, metabolic risk, which makes COVID-19 more severe. And the data that they've gathered is that the more obese people are, the worse the effects of COVID-19 are. And this was readily seen in the UK and the USA. So you would think that the UK, the United Kingdom and the USA are advanced. They should be, stronger people, but they're more obese. So they get more severe cases of COVID-19. In comparison to South Korea, which is a low prevalence of obesity and experience a low mortality rate. So, try to avoid obesity by staying healthy and having a good diet. Next slide. So the fourth bullet point, there's that the immune system can be strengthened with immune enhancing nutrients. Now, there are quite a number of these, including also medicinal plants. But our focus here will be, the next slide, will be on coconut oil. So we move on and talk about coconut oil. So this is, for those of you who are not so familiar, or just an introduction to coconut oil. We've all heard about the Mediterranean diet. It's supposed to be a healthy diet, which it is. And it is in the Mediterranean, there are about 480 million people living around the Mediterranean Sea. For a coconut diet, it's a tropical, comes from a tropical tree, and about 1 billion people consume the coconut diet. So if you compare the Mediterranean diet versus the coconut diet, there are twice the number of people take coconuts than olive oil. So coconut diet is a healthy diet, been consumed for millennia by people in the tropics and the Pacific. And of course, to note here that the Pacific would not have been populated if there were no coconuts. So it's very important. Next slide. Fresh coconut meat contains about 35% coconut oil, and virgin coconut oil is obtained directly from fresh coconut meat without chemical processing. So this is a definition of what a virgin oil is. So it's similar to virgin olive oil. It's also obtained from the olive nut fruit without chemical processing, and it is what we call grass, generally recognized as safe. Next slide. Now here, the coconut is the most useful food resource in the world. What I've listed on the left part of that box are the products that you can get from the coconut. And it's quite a lot. That's not comprehensive. Of course, you have coconut oil for cooking, virgin coconut oil, coconut flour, coconut milk, coconut cream, nata de coco, coconut wine, coconut vinegar, aminos, coconut sugar, and so forth. But the smaller things, fonts on the right side, those are the traditional dishes that are made out of coconut. And it's too small to read, but there are dishes there. Some of them are in Tagalog because those are Tagalog Filipino dishes, but quite a lot of, some are English, some are Indian, so there are many traditional dishes that are derived from coconut. So I think there are very few, if any, other resources that have this much use as food. And that's not everything, because we know that there are many things, non-food uses also of coconut. Next slide. And coconut oil is a healthy functional food. So the article that you see there says virgin coconut oil emerging functional food oil. A functional food is a food which has benefit beyond just the calories that it provides. And in this article, the benefits would be antioxidant activity and phenolic compounds. Next slide. Coconut oil has also been used as a therapy against Alzheimer's. And this article highlights that medium chain fatty acids and phenols from virgin coconut oil are potential treatment for Alzheimer's disease. And next slide. Coconut oil has antiviral and antibacterial properties due to the compounds that are shown there, monolaurin and lauric acid. Now, if you can read the title of this article, it says glycerol monolaurate, which is the same as monolaurin, inhibits Candida and Gardnerella vaginalis in vitro and in vivo, but not lactobacillus. Now, those two bacteria mentioned in the title are pathogenic bacteria or harmful bacteria, and lactobacillus is a beneficial bacteria. So it appears that monolaurin is able to inhibit bad bacteria and does not inhibit good bacteria. And this is something that we should study further. Next slide. So let's go to the how coconut oil might work against SARS-CoV-2. Next slide. So how does coconut oil become antiviral? Well, the oil itself is not antiviral. You have to ingest it, and you have enzymes in the body that will release the active compounds. And if you look at the next slide, the compounds that we're talking about would be monolaurin and lauric acid. So these are two of the antiviral, antibacterial compounds, although there are more. And coconut oil is about 50% lauric acid. So almost half the weight of the coconut oil would be due to lauric acid. So, so coconut oil is in a sense packed with compounds which are antiviral and antibacterial. And you have another compound there, capric acid, which is also antibacterial and antiviral. Next slide. Now, these are the two mechanisms which are directly antiviral, and these are from in vitro studies. In vitro studies means they're done in the test tube. So this is more or less theoretical. Ideally, you still go to human studies, but this sort of, you're able to propose some mechanisms from in vitro studies. So the two mechanisms are, one, it disintegrates the viral membrane, and second, it can inhibit the maturation of the virus when it enters the cell. Next slide. So there's an outside cell mechanism and an inside the cell. Now this is just one article which I cited, where in this case monolarin can disintegrate the viral membrane. So you have three images there. Image A is the control, so that's the reference. And then image B and C are two preparations with monolarin, and you can see that the membranes have disintegrated in the presence of monolarin. So in this study by here Holzer and Tabara in 1982, so it's quite a while ago, we showed that monolarin reduced infectivity, or the ability to infect, of 14 human envelope viruses in cell culture, so in vitro, by over 99%. And monolarin acted by disintegrating the virus envelope. Next slide. So we talk about disintegrating the virus envelope. The virus envelope is more like the lipid membrane that you see in the middle of this slide. It's a lipid bilayer, and it separates the outside from the inside of the virus. And the compounds of coconut oil, that's lauric acid on the left, C12 and monolarin, behave almost like surfactants. And what they do is that they destroy the lipid membrane. They disrupt it. This is more of a physicochemical phenomenon. Next slide. So you've heard about, of course, hand washing, and you're supposed to sing this happy birthday twice, because by washing hands, you can soap kills the virus by destroying the lipid membrane. And next slide. A similar thing would happen if you took coconut oil. Of course, this is not soap, but this happens inside the body. With lipase, the enzyme, you produce compounds like monolarin, which also disrupt the lipid bilayer. So this is sort of a simplistic analogy of how coconut oil might work directly against the virus membrane. Next slide. The second mechanism is that the compounds from coconut oil can inhibit the maturation of the virus inside the cell. So the virus enters the cell, and then it replicates itself inside the cell, and then it goes outside the cell, and then it makes more viruses, more virus particles. So coconut oil, or lauric acid in this case, will slow down the maturation of the virus. So next slide. And next slide will just show you how, an example of how this works. This is another kind of virus. This is an arenavirus, and lauric acid inhibits the maturation of the proteins of the virus. So it slows down the infection of the virus. Next slide. So this is summary. The two mechanisms, one occurring outside the cell, wherein the lauric acid and monolarin are formed upon ingestion of coconut oil and kill viruses by disintegrating the virus membrane. And then the second mechanism happens inside the cell, where lauric acid can inhibit virus maturation in a dose-dependent and reversible manner. What this means is that you need more, you need C12 lauric acid present for this to happen. And if the lauric acid is not there, then this effect stops. So yeah, in a way that's means that you always need to have lauric acid in your system. Anyway, that's the in vitro mechanism. Next slide. So going back to the article, we argued that the based on the direct antiviral mechanism, then coconut oil has a potential for being antiviral, and it's cheap. There's no side effects, and so it is potentially beneficial. So next slide. So this is just the point we're making here, that coconut oil is antiviral, but you have to prove its efficacy against this specific virus, COVID-19. So the antiviral property has been demonstrated in other viruses. Now we still have to demonstrate it against COVID-19, and whether you can use it as therapy, meaning as a cure, or prophylaxis as protection. So those need to be studied. Next slide. Now this is the other part. These are the immunomodulatory activities of coconut oil. So it's divided into studies which have been done in vitro, and here I've listed 3 studies on lauric acid, monolaurin, and the coconut protein. There are animal studies on DCO, and there are human studies on DCO plus monolaurin and so forth. So these are just examples of studies already done in the literature, already reported, where coconut oil can enhance the immune system. Next slide. And I've encircled T cells, T lymphocytes, CD4, CD8. So all of those in circled are from the adaptive immune system. So the story here seems to be that coconut oil can enhance the adaptive immune system. That's the other immune system. You have the first immune system, and this is the adaptive immune system, which grows over time. And coconut oil has been shown to enhance this immune system, members. Next slide. So, in summary, the potential of coconut oil against the novel coronavirus, is twofold. One is direct antiviral activity, and the second is strengthening of the immune system. The article, the paper that we wrote, talked only about direct antiviral activity. And what we'd like to highlight is that you can also strengthen the immune system against the virus. So next slide. So finally, surviving COVID-19. Go coconuts. Next slide. Well, a lot of the things they tried to do with COVID-19, they looked at drugs and they tried to repurpose it, or vaccines, against COVID-19. Of course, the first big, what do you call this, victim, or I don't know, was this hydroxychloroquine, which Trump tried to push, and now it's already a no-no, so you can cross it out. Recently, this sterile, dexamethasone, was shown to be effective in treatment of disease, and that just happened this week. Remdesivir is another drug which is supposed to shorten the hospital stay of a patient. Sildenafil, if you're familiar with that, is Viagra. So they're trying to study Viagra as a drug against COVID-19. I don't know how that's working. But anyway, what they're doing is that they're looking at the medicine cabinet and finding out, what they can throw at this disease. Right now, they're still trying, I think. Next slide. Yeah. Now, COVID-19 is a global disease. And so we need appropriate solutions for the ones that would need it most. This is the bottom of the pyramid. So this article from SciDevNet says build diverse food systems for post-COVID-19 world. So, and he said that you have to enhance nutrition to build up the immune system. So this becomes very important, especially for the poor people. Next slide. We have to keep our focus on sustainable development goals. The SDGs have been sidelined. You know, the attention to them has been sidelined because of COVID-19, but we really have to go back to them. And if you look at those first three SDGs, the pandemic has shown how we're so far from solving poverty, hunger, and good health and well-being. But here again, coconut can help with attainment of sustainable development goals, and particularly those first three SDGs that I mentioned. Next slide. And another article, SDG setback is tremendous as COVID-19 accelerates slide. So I guess COVID-19 has increased challenges towards attaining the SDGs. So next slide. So what can coconut oil do? Or what can coconut do? Well, coconuts support farmers, so that will help with poverty alleviation, certainly. Coconut trees are environmentally friendly. No GMOs in coconuts, and you can do organic coconuts as well. Coconut trees can be intercropped with other crops, so there's diversity. Coconuts can be directly consumed as nourishing food. So, well, of course, you can sell the coconut products, but you can also consume it yourself. Coconuts can be processed into numerous food products, which I already mentioned earlier. But in addition, coconuts can also be processed into numerous industrial products, such as oleochemicals, building materials, fibers, activated carbon. So the coconut tree is truly the tree of life. So if we're talking about surviving COVID-19, we should think about supporting coconuts. So finally, my final greeting for you is in my last slide. Is yeah, so go to the last slide. Yeah, so we should all keep calm and go coconuts. So on that note, thank you for your attention and hope you found something useful in the presentation. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Toby. I like your last slide.
Yes, thank you very much, Toby. That's very reassuring because I've been using virgin coconut oil for many years now as a natural supplement. So I feel good about it. Yes. And again, as a reminder to our participants who are tuned in today, keep jotting down your questions. And if you don't want to ask them personally, you can do it over chat. Direct it to Randy Oliva, our co-moderator, who will read it at the end of the open forum to be answered by our guest speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marie,
yeah?
I hope everybody follow the PowerPoint presentation of our speakers.
Yes.
I hope everybody knows that to get to the PowerPoint, all they have to do is to swipe right.
Okay.
So they can see the screen of our media officer, which has the PowerPoint presentation.
All right. I hope they saw that, no? Because it's very, very informational. It's I found that, but I think I have to review that. There was so much information in it, and it would be nice to go over it again. Well, thank you again, Dr. Dairit. And now I'm proud to introduce our next resource speaker. He is a US trained medical doctor who took up medical technology as his pre-med course before entering medical school at the Far Eastern University in Manila, where he was part of the Dean's List. He did his residency program in internal medicine at the Mercy Hospital and Medical Center in Chicago, Illinois. He pursued further studies in complementary and alternative medicine and got board certified in nutrition and anti-aging and regenerative medicine. Dr. Lopez incorporates different modalities in his practice, including nutritional medicine, IV nutritional therapies, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, homotoxicology, naturopathic medicine, and cell therapy. He focuses on preventive medicine, holistic treatments of chronic degenerative diseases, and age-related disorders. He's one of the founding members and former vice president of the Preventive, Regenerative, Integrative Medical Association, or PRIMA, a group of medical doctors whose goal is to bring the practice of preventive, regenerative, and integrative medicine into the mainstream and establish standards for its practice. Dr. Lopez is licensed to practice medicine in many places, in California, Illinois, Florida. He maintains an office in San Francisco, California at the Medical Arts Building. And in the Philippines, he has a clinic at Centuria Medical in Makati City. Let us welcome Dr. Joel Lopez.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for the introduction. So this afternoon, we're going to discuss about immune boosting, especially during these times of COVID. So let's begin with the first, actually the second slide. So we're going to discuss about the 10 basic principles for building immune health. So first one is maintaining and protecting barrier functions. Secondly, would be creating a commensal-friendly environment. Third, maintaining appropriate hygiene practices. Then, avoiding antigens and allergens in adulthood. Fifth is building micronutrient and antioxidant reserves. Sixth, maintaining and building cellular energy. Seventh, maintaining adequate detoxification capacity. 8 is diminishing stress and cortisol-induced immune suppression. Then reducing chronic inflammatory triggers and mediators. And finally, using immune modulating agents to create balance and strengthen immune function. Next slide, please. So the first one would be maintaining and protecting barrier functions. So even though our immune system function is often measured by immune cell numbers or cytokine concentrations in the peripheral blood, most of the activity in the immune system occurs within the various tissues and specialized organs and glands that control the interface between our bodies and the outside world. So breaches in these immune or barrier functions are one of the most potent immune challenges that a person can face. This is why protecting barrier function, especially the integrity of the barrier between or within the intestinal mucosa, is vital for basic immune function and appropriate immune responses. Understanding the integrity of the gut mucosa is one of the hallmarks of functional medicine, where heal the gut first has become a common theme. So basically, the first principle is basically improving your barrier function. And this barrier function includes our skin and our mucous membranes. So this is basically what divides the internal environment from the environment that we are exposed to. So it's really important that we focus on the integrity of this barrier function. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Hold on a second. Yes, so the next principle would be creating a commensal-friendly environment. So this support mechanism is closely related with barrier function, as friendly commensal organisms reside almost exclusively in the skin and mucosal membranes. An environment that allows for the proper number and type of commensal organisms and is unfriendly to most harmful organisms is important for overall health and vital for proper immune function. Because so much of the immune system resides in the GI tract, the training and maturation of the immune system cells is dependent on the interaction with commensal organisms within the gut microbiota. So basically, it's really important to know that most of our immune system, at least 75% of it, is actually found in our gut. So it's really important to take care of it. Most of us take of it for granted, but actually, most of our immune system actually resides in the gut. So the next one is maintaining appropriate hygiene practices. So in the historic battle between human health and infectious diseases stands the appropriate role of personal and community hygiene practices. Changes in personal hygiene practices, water and sewage facilities, quarantine of infectious individuals, and similar practices have saved countless lives. Where these practices are less common throughout developing nations, infectious diseases are still common and devastating. Ironically, the modern trend towards a highly sanitized environment in developed countries like the United States has led to a host of other immune-related and infectious disease-related dilemmas. So the overuse or abuse of antibiotics over the past half century has led to a variety of antibiotic-resistant organisms, difficult or nearly impossible to treat, even in healthy subjects. Likewise, the so-called hygiene hypothesis predicts children with little or no access to germs during the early stages of immune development will have adverse or inappropriate immune responses. So that's why living in a bubble is really not necessarily that healthy for us. So notice that during the COVID time, more people are using a lot of disinfectants. But if you use, let's say, a lot of alcohol, like applied on your skin too much, it would actually destroy the microbiome, rendering more people to become more susceptible to skin infections. That's why moderation is always key. Next thing is avoiding antigens and allergens in adulthood. This advice appears basic, but it is fundamentally associated with the phenomenon of immune system aging known as immunosenescence. As we age, our immune system appears less able to adapt new strategies when encountering new antigens, and it appears to be more vulnerable to immune-related disorders. The elderly seems to be especially vulnerable to seasonal infectious agents, chronic inflammatory diseases, and of course, malignantly transformed cells not removed by the immune system before multiplying. And actually, there are many ways to build a stronger immune system or immune response and increase the metabolic reserve our immune system relies on every day. However, it is clear that avoiding unnecessary exposure or purposefully avoiding antigens and allergens may be a prudent way to stay healthy and avoid episodes of critical illness. While the hygiene hypothesis explained the need for appropriate antigen or allergen exposure in children, this is not a strategy for improving immune health in the elderly. Next thing is building micronutrient and antioxidant reserve. One of the hallmarks of modern nutrition is that the connection between specific nutrient deficiencies and disease susceptibility. No one questions that when we are truly deficient in one or more vitamin or mineral, we have reduced capacity to fight off various diseases. However, the notion that there is a continuum between micronutrient deficiency on one end and optimal immune enhancing levels of micronutrient intake on the other is often underappreciated. So to put it in another way, in many individuals, especially those with immune challenges or illnesses, the US RDA, or recommended daily allowance levels of particular vitamins or minerals, may not be sufficient to create the optimal immune supporting levels of these micronutrients. So while the body has the ability to store some of these minerals and fat-soluble vitamins, an immune challenge can quickly deplete the reserve of critical micronutrients, leaving the individual susceptible. An active and challenged immune system produces a wide range of oxygen radicals as a natural consequence of mounting a strong defense. It is critical that these oxygen radicals are swiftly neutralized by a strong network of antioxidants. So while many nutrients are vital to the antioxidant reserve, building antioxidant reserve requires manufacturing adequate glutathione levels, as well as triggering appropriate upregulation of antioxidant response elements or modulated genes. Just to let you guys know, a lot of these fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the body. However, they're quickly depleted during an infection. An example here is vitamin D. So vitamin D is actually it actually is not only a vitamin, but it's also a pro-hormone as well as an immune modulator. So vitamin D works by stimulating the production of antimicrobial peptides. These are substances that have antimicrobial and antiviral properties. So vitamin D eventually could get depleted if there's not enough sun exposure. Another mineral that is not stored in the body is the mineral zinc. So a lot of people are zinc deficient, and it could lead to a lot of problems eventually. And I'll talk about zinc in a little bit. So the next pillar of supporting immune health is maintaining and building cellular or mitochondrial energy. So when the immune system is under attack, every bit of the metabolic reserve available for energy can be quickly depleted, leaving the patient exhausted and even lethargic, which is part of the classic immune syndrome. When our cellular energy reserves are depleted due to poor diet, stress, strenuous exercise, short sleep duration, or to perform other critical metabolic functions such as detoxification, our immune system can be easily overwhelmed. In addition, recent studies have shown that mitochondria are critical to the function of both the innate and adaptive immune systems, which Dr. Toby actually explained earlier. So the next pillar would be maintaining an adequate detoxification capacity. So this is another important area of metabolic reserve that directly impacts immune function. When liver function and detoxification capacity are functioning appropriately, removing exogenous and endogenous toxins, a significant burden is removed from internal immune and GI functions. However, slow or incomplete detoxification allows for cell damage and GI irritation that can exacerbate immune system inflammatory responses, deplete nutrient resources, and create opportunities for additional immune-related vulnerabilities. So while most patients can benefit from an appropriate detoxification protocol, patients with immune system challenges may greatly benefit from annual or semi-annual detoxification protocols that allow them to systemically remove allergens and toxins from their diet and use targeted nutrients known to upregulate both phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification enzymes. These will usually boost glutathione and antioxidant levels as well. So basically, our immune system has a lot of functions. So it has to remove toxins, tumors, and even fight against germs. So if you don't have enough adequate detoxification capacity, your immune system is like not able to focus on its job of like fighting infections. So it's really important to improve our detoxification capacity because ultimately it would actually help improve our immune system. The next thing is diminishing stress and cortisol-induced immune suppression. So stress in general, and particularly cortisol, is a powerful inhibitor of the innate immune response. So cortisol, a stress hormone, is known as one of the most potent endogenous anti-inflammatory molecule, whereas inflammatory mediators such as interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha are strong triggers of the HPA axis. While these compensatory actions are critical for healthy immune and stress responses, chronic stress can lead to long-term immunosuppression and autoimmune susceptibility. Next thing is reducing chronic inflammatory triggers and mediators. So inflammation is one of the core functions of the innate immune system and is vital to a healthy immune response. However, inappropriate or chronic inflammatory signaling is a hallmark of almost every chronic disease, and the appropriate modulation of inflammation is critical for a healthy immune system. So your immune system needs to be modulated. If it's too overactive, it's not good for you. And if it's underactive, that one is not good as well. So we have what we call immunomodulators. And Dr. Toby actually mentioned one earlier, which is coconut oil. But there are other immune modulators available, such as vitamin D3, which I'm going to mention again later on. So finally, using immune modulating agents to create balance and strengthen immune function. While the foundation of immune support is building metabolic reserves, there are a number of ways to specifically enhance immune function using agents generally referred to as immune modulators. These agents vary in their mechanisms, but are mostly derived from plants or fungi. Some of these agents are antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal, or antiparasitic, while other agents act to stimulate or modulate immune cell function. So again, the immune system fights not only against infections, but it also addresses toxins as well as tumors. And basically, Dr. Dayrit mentioned innate and adaptive immunity earlier, but this is just a comparison between those two kinds of immune systems. So basically, innate immunity is something that we're present with since birth. Adaptive immunity, however, develops after birth. Innate immunity is non-specific, while adaptive immunity is more specific. The response time of innate immunity is quite fast, from minutes to hours, while adaptive immunity takes days to a week, initially at least. As far as potency, innate immunity is less potent compared to adaptive immunity. And as far as inheritance is concerned, innate immunity is inherited while adaptive immunity is not. And what are the components of the innate immune system? These include the physical barriers such as the skin and mucous membranes, chemical barriers such as hydrochloric acid in the stomach or lysozyme in our tears, and then cells such as phagocytic cells, dendritic cells, and natural killer cells. Adaptive immunity, on the other hand, consists of T cells and B cells and the antibodies that they produce. So factors affecting immunity. So let's start with number one, chronic sleep deprivation. So ideally, we should sleep for at least 7.5 hours per day. So if a person's having problems with sleeping, they could actually incorporate certain remedies such as magnesium or melatonin. These are things that could actually help boost the immune system. Melatonin per se is an immune modulator besides being a sleep aid and an antioxidant. So lack of physical exercise also contributes to a lowered immune system. So what do you do about this? What you need to do is get regular and varied physical exercise. And by the way, there has to be moderation as far as exercise is concerned as well. Too much exercise could be an immune suppressant. So therefore, we need to exercise moderately. Then a poor diet would actually also lower in immune system. So it's really important to get adequate but not excessive energy supply. Again, moderation when you eat. Optimal intake of micronutrients, particularly vitamins A, D, B6, zinc, and selenium, and optimal intake of antioxidants such as vitamin C. And then as far as chronic stress, we discussed earlier how chronic stress could actually suppress the immune system. And what do you do about it? So some people may do deep breathing exercises or pranayama in the Ayurvedic tradition. Some people just get sufficient rest and relaxation. Others do meditation, and others listen to relaxing music. And then others, of course, they do get massages on a regular basis. And there are those who do shopping, which may not be a healthy habit to do at this point. So lack of social contacts could also suppress the immune system. So what do you do about it? So again, family, being around family is really important. But in this times of lockdowns, good thing that we have this Zoom and Skype meetings that is actually able to help with our immune system. And it's really important not to social distance, but physical distancing may be important at this point. So frequent negative thoughts could also suppress the immune system. So what do you do about it? General fun and humor would be really helpful. Frequent laughing, as stated by Dr. Patch Adams, because when you laugh a lot, basically you produce what we call natural opioids called endorphins and enkephalins. So these natural opioids are actually helpful for the immune system. Next thing is frequent travel and flying and changes of environment could actually negatively affect our immune system. So what do you do? So basically you boost immunity before a flight. Some people take glutathione or vitamin C drips or just orally. They may take zinc as well, and make sure that you have sufficient hydration, especially when you're flying. Then the use of probiotics would be definitely helpful. And as far as recovery from jet lag, there are things that you could use to help with this, such as melatonin. So another immunity impairing factor is liberal consumption of alcohol. So of course, you have to reduce alcohol consumption, avoid binge drinking, and if you decide to drink, favor wines rich in polyphenols. So this is red wine, which is rich in something called resveratrol. So resveratrol is some nutrient that could help keep our telomeres healthy. So this is one of the nutrients that we use for healthy aging. Of course, Dr. Dairit also mentioned about obesity earlier. So reducing abdominal obesity with anti-inflammatory diet and exercise would be really helpful. And of course, getting adequate sleep and stress management would really be helpful. Smoking is another negative factor, so quit smoking and avoid passive smoking. And then finally, avoid dehydration. So the next thing is we're going to discuss about some immune system boosting berries and fruits. So those that are available include pomegranate, bilberry, and cranberry. They're rich in polyphenols that have anti-tumor necrosis factor effect, which anti-tumor necrosis factor, by the way, is tumor necrosis factor itself is a pro-inflammatory cytokine. So polyphenol basically have an anti-inflammatory effect. Same thing with cherries. It reduces CRP and interleukin-6, It is actually really helpful for those who have a lot of pain, including arthritis. Elderberries are actually rich in zinc. It also may reduce the duration of the common cold. It has antiviral effects and also increases cytokine TNF alpha. Acai is actually rich in anthocyanins, and it's also found in elderberries as well as bilberries. Then immune system boosting medicinal plants include turmeric as well as ginger. In the Philippine tradition, we have something called salabat. So salabat actually helps decrease oxidative stress. So it has an antioxidant benefit basically. It also inhibits prostaglandin synthesis and lowers the levels of several inflammatory cytokines, such as IL-1, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and IL-8 in the blood. So basically, both of these have anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. Other immune system boosting plants include green tea, cacao, garlic, ginseng, and noto ginseng. And then in the States, we use a lot of something called echinacea. This is something that we use as a preventive as well as treatment for those with viral respiratory infections. Then there is also something called astragalus, which is a natural antibiotic or antimicrobial. We also do have immune boosting fats, and these consist of extra virgin olive oil, which actually reduces this CRP and IL-6, omega-3 fatty acids, which may include fish oils, krill oil, and for those who are vegetarian, we may recommend flaxseed oil. And then there's extra virgin coconut oil, which is rich in polyphenols. Virgin coconut oil, of course, is rich in monolaurin as well as caprylic acid, which have both antiviral and antifungal properties. So vitamin C is the main systemic extracellular antioxidants. So normally the RDA of vitamin C is just 75 milligrams in women and 90 milligrams in men. But to get its antiviral benefits, you need to take way more than that. So during this times, we may recommend between 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C in divided doses. The main side effect would be bowel intolerance or sometimes loose stools. So vitamin C, again, could also be given intravenously, like what we do here in our practice. However, we recommend that you have your doctor check your kidney function first if you're going to do really high doses of vitamin C. Vitamin C also has anti-tumoral effects, just FYI. Other immune system boosting dietary supplements include vitamin E, which actually supports the function of your T cells, a part of your adaptive immune system. And then there are other vitamins such as B1, magnesium, and creatine. Creatine is quite popular among bodybuilders, by the way. Other immune system boosting dietary supplements include selenium, which is helpful in the production of glutathione. By the way, glutathione is popular in Asian countries for those who want to have some of its whitening properties. But selenium or glutathione in general is actually a great antioxidant as well as a natural detoxifier. Vitamin B3 or niacin is also important for the biosynthesis of NAD. It's been known to fight against certain infections such as HIV as well as tuberculosis. CoQ10 helps in the production of energy. So since during infectious episodes, our white blood cells are really active, and it really relies on the supply of nutrients such as CoQ10 or macronutrients such as protein for energy supply. So other antiviral nutrients include L-lysine, which is really important for herpes zoster virus infection. Then nutrients such as alpha-lipoic acid, glutathione, and NAC, which not only improve impaired immune systems, but also improve the enzymatic function of the liver. Probiotics, of course, I did mention this earlier, but it's actually beneficial because probiotics also produce natural antibiotics. It actually is what keeps the yeast in place. Probiotics need to be taken after a course of antibiotics. And then vitamin D, I did mention this briefly earlier. Vitamin D, again, is not only a vitamin, but it's also a prohormone and an immune modulator. So it's essential in the production of CAMPs, which have antiviral and antimicrobial properties. And besides the sunlight, you could also get it from dietary supplements, especially now that at least most people are still in a lockdown. People could also get it from fatty fish, such as salmon and sardines, and also cod liver oil. And then there's zinc. Zinc, by the way, is involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. And zinc, by the way, is important for at least hindering viral replication as well as the transcription of viral RNA. This zinc is actually being used in several protocols by forward-thinking or open-minded doctors who use the anti-malarials hydroxychloroquine as well as the antibiotic azithromycin in the fight against COVID. However, for those who don't want to use synthetic forms of what we call zinc ionophores, they could actually use something called quercetin. So quercetin is a nutrient or a bioflavonoid that is not only an anti-inflammatory, it's an antihistamine, and as I mentioned earlier, it's also a zinc ionophore. What it does is that it facilitates the entry of zinc into your cells, where it does its job of preventing viral replication as well as transcription of viral RNA. So this ends my talk for today. And if you do have any questions later, I'll be on standby. Thank you so much.
Okay, Marie, maybe, ang dami ng, many people already sent their questions.
That's right. I couldn't respond right away because I was muted. I had to wait for the unmute sign. No. So
we also, if I may advise everybody, ang damit natin mga bagong participants, no? Some from Jensan, some from Cebu, some from Palawan, in the places that we held our SONA or our summit in.
Yeah.
A lot of first-timers joining us today.
Yes, it's very interesting that the places we have visited, we're getting people from there to join us. And welcome everyone again. So we are now going into, thank you, Dr. Joel, for that very enlightening piece.
Yes.
We are now entering the second part of the forum proper, which is the question and answer or the open forum. Okay, and again, there are rules that we have to observe, and I am going to once again bring you Randy. Randy, for the
Okay, all right. Just a reminder, I think I passed through this for earlier today, no? But here are the open forum rules. One, if you wish to speak or ask a question, you can raise your hand. No, talagang you can use the function or just physically raise your hand, and your intent will be noticed by our traffic officer, Joker Asilum, who can see the whole room, no? And so if he notices that you have raised your hand, he will notify me, and you will be recognized and you will be given the floor. Okay? Remember to introduce yourself clearly and briefly. Your name, your organization, and your question. Okay? Number 3, participants who do not want to ask a question themselves, medyo shy, can message me directly with their question, and I will be the one to ask your question at the designated time. And lastly, to maximize everyone's time, please keep your questions concise, clear as much as possible, go bullet point, and go direct to the point. That's it, Marie. I hope that's clear.
Yes, and I would like to add clear and concise and on the subject matter, please. In our other Kamayan forum sessions, there had been questions that were off topic. So please stay on the topic so that we will maximize the time. And now we are going to take questions.
Okay. Before we get to the questions, allow me, Marie, to read some of the chats that came in.
Okay.
We have Jeanette Razo greeting everybody a blessed June 19, it being the birthday of Dr. Jose Rizal and the solemnity of the Sacred Heart.
Happy birthday!
And sabi niya, this is my first time to join Kamayan. Welcome, Jeanette.
Yes.
We have
I hope you will join us again next time.
Yes, we have several people who greeted everyone a good afternoon. We have Mark saying that please acknowledge the presence of our partners and participants from De La Salle, Philippines. A gloomy afternoon all the way from Tanay. That's Mark Joseph for you.
Okay.
And, okay, so many greetings. Juliet Manlapas also sent a message saying that she's here. Juliet Manlapas of Partnership for Clean Air, or PCA, greeting everybody a good afternoon. And Vicky Segovia said, so humble naman si Toby Dairit. Okay. Do I read the questions now, Marie?
Yes, no, but we will, let's wait for those who want to ask their own questions.
All right, sure, okay.
Oh, there's Nina Gala is raising her hand.
Hello.
Hello, Nina.
Can you hear me?
I'm so happy to hear you. Your microphone is
working. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our maiden session online. And I suppose we will be having this for several months still, at least. And so, in a way, I thank God for this technology where more and more people from far parts of the country can join us. Thank you, Toby and Dr. Lopez, for very informative talks. People might be wondering why we're talking about COVID and coconut oil in an environmental forum, but please remember that our full name is Green Convergence for Safe Food, Healthy Environment, and Sustainable Economy. So when there are technologies, programs, or methods that address our need for safe food, healthy environment, and sustainable economy, we feature them. And so by focusing on natural ways of addressing diseases and other issues, they are in the paradigm of green convergence. So may I ask one question for each of the speakers?
Go ahead.
Dr. Dairit, coconut, as you pointed out, is used by many people in the tropics. I'm wondering, and of course, it seems, no, from the data of worldwide numbers, those in the tropics seem to be lower in cases, except Brazil, which is, well, Brazil is such a rich, a big country, so it probably spans tropics and subtropical areas, no? But I was thinking, Bicol, Bicolanos use a lot of coconut. I
Yeah.
don't know. I have not looked at the data for Bicol, but maybe are there fewer cases in Bicol? Maybe that could be a research, no? And then maybe among environmentalists who use VCO, like many
Yes,
of us
like
here,
me.
Marie, Inday, Vicky,
Yeah.
we use coconut oil. Fortunately, we're still well.
Huh.
I'm wondering if there could be also a correlation between environmentalists, especially those who use VCO, and the incidence of COVID. For
Yeah.
Dr. Lopez, you were talking about detoxification.
Yeah.
Are you referring to natural means like elimination, like going to the toilet and then sweating? I hope so, because we don't really detoxify with artificial means regularly.
Yeah.
So those are my
Okay.
questions. Thank you.
Next
Sige.
question, please.
Sige, Nina.
You don't have to answer it. You can't answer it
Not
yet
yet.
until the third
Di ba
portion.
pala?
Okay. Tessa Oliva is raising her hand. Tessa?
Yes. Okay. I have several questions for Toby and for Dr. Lopez. First, I'm just glad that one lesson that we've really learned from this pandemic is that we should start developing our local technologies. That's very important. So I'm happy that we're discussing right now the coconut. All right. So the VCO has been endorsed by DOST, and I'd like to know the latest development on this. And has this been tried uh, in order to address COVID? That's one question. Another question is the size of COVID-19 is very small, 2,000 times smaller than PM 2.5. So does that mean that this can penetrate the cloth masks that we are wearing? So that's a second question. And I think at the end of this session, we should write to government. So which department of government should we write to in order to really develop local technologies here in our country? So those are three questions for Dr. Dairit. I have a question also for Dr. Lopez. One is about maintenance medicines that we use for hypertension and cholesterol. These are synthetic, I think, most of them. Are there natural alternatives? Do this maintenance, this artificial or synthetic medicines lower our immune system? So that's one question for Dr. Lopez. And another one is on the adequate detoxification. How is this done? You said it's good to have it annually or semi-annually. Now, is it expensive? So those are my two questions for Dr. Lopez. Thank you. Thank you so much for the very informative talks.
Thank you, Tessa, for the interesting questions. I can't see everyone, so maybe Jofer can identify other people who are raising their hands. Jofer?
So far, it's Miss Vicky Segovia, and earlier, Miss Early Lopez just raised her hand, if I'm correct.
Okay, then let's hear from Vicky Segovia first, and then Early Lopez.
Asking a question,
Vicky?
just clapping. I was clapping. I was not raising my hand to ask a question.
Miss
Miss
Vicky, excuse me. Your voice is not that loud.
I said I did not
Has she,
raise my hand.
has she unmuted her microphone?
Yes.
Okay. So then if she's not ready, let's listen to Early. Is Early raised her hand, you said, right? Okay, I see Sonia.
Hi.
Yes,
Okay,
Sonia,
let's
you
start.
raised your hand?
No, I'm not. I don't have a question
Okay.
yet. Not yet. I just said hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
Ma'am
hi.
Marie,
Now,
we have questions sent in directly via chat.
okay,
All
let's
right.
listen to them.
Okay. The first
Go ahead, Randy.
question came from Danica Mercado. Sir, can you read more? Where can we read more on Dr. Dairit's research findings? That's her first question. Also, is the research acknowledged or supported by the government? All directed to Dr. Dairit.
Okay,
Then we
next.
have another question
Mhm.
from
What question?
Divina Jokno. Question: are there problems on producing and distributing VCO and coconut cooking oil? Seems not always available in the grocery shelves. Then she says also, I only know 2 brands that sell coconut oil. And for VCO, there are several brands, but are they all of equal quality? Of course, I like ProSource. Uy, commercial na to. I like ProSource. But the other day, I had to buy another brand, Green Life. So I'm not sure. Okay? So which is better, ProSource or Green Life, or are they the same in quality?
Okay, now let's
another, yeah.
Randy, let's stop the chat questions because I
Okay.
see Vicky already.
All right.
Vicky, oh, you can ask your question now. You unmute yourself.
She's
I
actually
can't hear
unmuted
you,
already.
Vicky. Oh, but
She has to
how
go
come
near
I
to
don't
her speaker pata, or her microphone.
hear her?
Mic
I
on.
did not
Pa.
to ask a question.
To hear her?
No.
No.
I don't hear her. Vicky, we don't hear you.
O,
We
iba na
can't
muna
hear you.
siguro for a while.
Is Early
Early.
ready? Is Early ready with her question? Early?
Miss Early is not available on her video actually. I think she went outside.
Are you there? The person who raised his or her hand? Jofer?
Wala
Are you
pa
able to
naman
see
daw.
everyone?
Yeah. So far, there's 9.
Okay, then go ahead with the other questions on chat, Randy.
Okay. Another question is from Red Rayla. Does a dose of coffee help COVID protection? We hear about that, no? Kape daw, pwedeng panggamot sa COVID. Does it help? Another question is, has Italy finally solved COVID? That's why they had a radical decline. This is from Dr. Red Raila from Cebu City.
All right. Any other questions?
Okay. Another one from Esther Pacheco. The question is for both speakers. What are the contraindications for using coconut oil? If there are, what are these?
Okay.
Okay. So please, our speakers, please write it down lang. And this one comes from Paul Olvis. To Dr. Dairit, had you also considered or tested in vitro the active chemical compounds from coconut as combined with other plant or fungal sources and eventually observed the antiviral resistance mechanisms and clinical significance. That's for Paul Olvis of MSU, General Santos.
All right, any other questions?
Another one from Red Rayla once more of Cebu. Do you recommend glutathione with the brand of Max International to boost cells and immune system? Do you recommend glutathione with the brand of Max International to boost cells in immune? Okay. Okay, here's another one from Wayne Paulo Ugang. This is Dr. Joel. How much of vitamin C is too much? Baka ma-overdose nga. Is there a difference between generic vitamin C and natural vitamin C, such as calamansi? Okay. That's from Wayne Pablo Ugang. And here's another one. Si Orly Animo just thanking Kamayan for this opportunity. Okay.
There are some comments that I see, but
Yes.
Are there any more questions?
I think that's it. No, that's it. That's in. Maybe we can go back to the floor.
And yes, if those are the those are all the questions, then we will move on to part 3 of the forum proper and listen to our speakers. What? Somebody's trying to say something? Randy? What? I heard something. But anyway, if those are the last of the questions. Oh, Randy, yes. Are you raising your hand?
Na, may pumasok pala, sabi ni Tessa. How much dose of coconut oil would be recommended?
Yes, that's a good question. And
Miss Marie, one last question.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
For Dr. Lopez, can you project how long does this COVID pandemic would last, both in the Philippines, or could you give at least on an international perspective, also given the status quo and the band-aid solutions that this government is giving, and kung kailan pa kakayanin ng mga medical personnel natin? So that's my question for Dr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mark. And well, am I allowed to ask a question?
Of course.
Okay. Dr. Joel mentioned cacao as a good source of what's this?
Antiviral.
Yeah, but I just want to confirm it because I started using cacao powder 2 months ago, I think. In lieu of coffee, I just want to share this with everyone. And because I have high blood pressure, I'm hypertensive. So it also, I think, answers Tessa's question about the maintenance medication. I started using drinking cacao in the morning, and skipped coffee. And, it gives you the coffee boost. Malakas din ang boost niya. It gives you a good feeling. And I noticed that my blood pressure was steady at 120 to 130 since I started drinking cacao. So I want to ask Dr. Joel if this is there is a scientific basis for this, or if it's psychological. So that's my question. Okay, so I think that's the last question. We can now move to the third part.
Excuse me for my question, Papa, si Miss Reyla. Red Ryla.
Sino?
Miss Red Ryla.
Okay, meron pa. Okay, sige. Go ahead.
Okay, ako na. Or si Sir Randy. Okay, so is it true that Dr. Fabonan's antivirus meds passed in the US test and accepted now by Indonesia version of an FDA test? Again, is it true that Dr. Fabonan's antivirus meds passed in US test and accepted now by Indonesia's version of FDA test? So that's the last question, I think.
Okay, we can start answering them now. We are in the third portion of the forum proper, and we're bringing back our experts, our resource speakers. We will start with Dr. Toby. Dr. Toby.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I tried to list down the questions, but I'll try to. We can alternate with Dr. Lopez. I'll answer
For the
one,
answers?
and then Dr. Lopez can answer one.
Okay, go ahead.
But the first question, I think, by Dr. Galang, incidence of COVID in coconut-consuming countries. Well, unfortunately, there's really been no detailed studies on this. Also, there's also no detailed study on how much, although coconuts are grown in certain places, you still have to survey exactly how much do they take. In the Philippines, the latest detailed survey on coconut consumption by region is 1987. And this was in relation to atherosclerosis. At that time, the Bicol region was, they actually went out, this is FNRI study, Food and Nutrition Research Institute. So they actually surveyed people and they asked what their consumption was. So that's hard evidence data on actual coconut consumption. And there it was shown that the regions that have high coconut consumption have lower atherosclerosis. Now it's about 30 years later. We don't actually have hard data on how much coconuts actually consumed by people. Because sometimes it can grow there, but then they process it. They could sell the coconuts elsewhere, so it doesn't always correlate. Presence of coconut and consumption. Although now someone from Sri Lanka I've been in communication with, and they have indications that the high coconut consumption has lowered the incidence of COVID in Sri Lanka. But in the Philippines, I say it's regional, and the data are not there. Although maybe in general you might say there's a trend, but I don't think it's definite. A definite correlation between a high coconut consumption in the region and amount of COVID. And of course, even the records on COVID keeping is not reliable. So it's a difficult question to answer, with specific evidence. So
Thank you.
Si Dr. Lopez muna.
Okay, do you want to alternate now? Shall we listen to Dr. Joel for a question asked of him?
Yeah, I wasn't able to get the first one, but it's basically about detoxification, right?
Yes.
With detoxification, these are things that you could actually may do at home. So there are home-based detoxification procedures that you could do. For instance, there's fasting. Fasting could help improve your detoxification process, and some people may do like water fast or juice fast, or just abstain from certain foods that has a lot of allergen. And they could find out more about that if they do tests such as the food intolerance test. Other things that they could do at home include what we call functional or medical foods. So there are nutritional companies that already offer this. So instead of taking like one pill to, let's say, improve a certain condition like diabetes, you're taking a functional food, which basically would cover for a lot of like underlying processes that occurs in someone, let's say, with diabetes. Because if a person with diabetes sees a doctor who specializes in diabetes, they're just given something to control their blood sugar. but underlying conditions like or pathologic processes such as inflammation or nutrient deficiencies are not being addressed. Like if I see a diabetic patient, usually they have a lot of chronic inflammatory processes happening, such as chronic pain, like neuropathies. So sometimes I may give omega-3 fatty acids to help with that, or I may recommend some nutrients such as alpha lipoic acid, which is really effective for peripheral neuropathies. So this would also cover for Tessa's question earlier. Are there meds? Are there with maintenance? Are there meds that could actually replace maintenance meds? Yeah, basically there are natural remedies that could actually replace majority of the synthetic medications that people use. The problem is most all doctors, including myself, are all trained to use medications to treat symptoms. The problem with that, with symptomatic treatment, is that if you remove this drug, eventually the problem can go back. A good example is high blood pressure. Early, usually your blood pressure would stay normal. However, once you get off or you miss a blood pressure medication, your blood pressure goes up. This is because a lot of these maintenance medications, they only treat the symptom. And by the way, high blood pressure is just a symptom. We need to address the underlying causes of illness. Like in high blood pressure, it could be due to stress. It could be due to heavy metal toxicity, like if they have too much lead or mercury, those things could actually raise your blood pressure. If a person is deficient in certain minerals like magnesium or potassium, those could also raise your blood pressure. So correcting the underlying causes of illness will actually help get rid of the symptoms. So in answer to your question, definitely there are a lot of natural remedies that could replace your synthetic medications. But it's important that you work with your doctor because ma-pride kaming yung ibang mga doctor eh. So yeah, it's important to work with your doctor when it comes to adding supplements to your program. Then there are other detoxification. Oh, you're welcome. There are other detoxification processes that you could actually do at the office. An example here is something called colon hydrotherapy or colonics. This is something that's done at certain resorts like the farm in San Benito. But we actually offer it here at our clinic. We also do offer something called chelation therapy. It's an intravenous way of getting rid of toxic metals from your system. These metals include lead, which is removed by EDTA chelation therapy, or mercury, which is removed by DMPS or DMSA. But if you want natural remedies to help get rid of these heavy metals, people could try something as simple as a sulfur-rich herbs such as garlic, cilantro, and onions. These are things that could actually help get rid of heavy metals from our body. And then, of course, vitamin C is a weak chelating agent. It could also help get rid of some toxic metals from your system.
Okay.
May I?
Yeah.
What about the old-fashioned labatiba?
Yeah, that would be similar to colonics.
Is that a detoxification method? And
yes,
some people do it every day. Is that advisable?
As long as you replace some of the good bacteria, because sometimes, especially if you don't use filtered water, that it could actually destroy some of the good bacteria. Because some people may use like tap water, which has chlorine, that could actually destroy the good bacteria in your intestinal tract. And labatiba is you're only cleaning the lower portion of your colon, whereas colonics, it's more extensive. It goes almost close to the small intestine, like in the near the ileocecal valve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll answer some of the questions that were given. One is the government support, and there was also a question about the clinical studies. Well, the UST funding two clinical studies. One we started at CGH. This is on using BCO on COVID patients, and another one in Santa Rosa on um, these are suspected cases. So they started about 3 weeks ago, and so they're ongoing, and maybe it take about 1 month or 2 months before they release the results. Yeah, so there's government support. It's coming from the UST. Unfortunately, DOH is not really supporting any of these clinical studies. Maybe I'll go. There's a question about cloth masks because of the small particle size. Well, I think it's already been discussed that cloth masks don't really protect. Well, nothing can really protect 100%. The the coronavirus particles are really small, but I think to expect that you can completely prevent the entry of coronavirus is probably not feasible. In fact, most of these N95s they're synthetic material. So if you've seen the news, we now have a problem of too much plastic pollution because of from all the masks. So there's a downside to trying to be using the most efficient protection because these are expensive and not reusable. So it's really just adhering to the recommendation. Use a cloth mask to minimize, and then keep 1 to 2 meters away there, and usual sanitation advice that's given. Yeah. Well, there was a question about the quality of.
Is that all, Dr. Toby?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So then we move back to Dr. Joel.
Yeah, there was a question regarding the use of something called Max GXL. Supposedly it increases glutathione. Actually, I was able to use this product like several years ago, but I haven't continued because I moved back to the Philippines in 2013. At that time, I had a good experience with it. So basically, with glutathione, the most effective would be the intravenous use of it. Otherwise, people could take liposomal glutathione, or they could also take precursors of glutathione, such as NAC or N-acetylcysteine. Oral glutathione sometimes may be destroyed if you take it orally. It may be destroyed in the stomach. So that's why a more efficient way to get glutathione if you do something oral is taking the precursors of glutathione, which is N-acetylcysteine at a dose of 600 milligrams at least 3 times a day. Then another question regarding vitamin C. Is there overdosage? Yes, there is. Actually, if you get too much, people would experience loose stools or what we call bowel intolerance. But sometimes we use this as an endpoint in people we are treating naturally. Like, for instance, if you have a viral infection, we may recommend 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour for 6 hours while awake. Yeah, or until you develop loose stools. This is just one way to saturate your cells with white blood with vitamin C, because vitamin C is not only an antioxidant, it's an antiviral in high doses as well. And in even higher doses, like 50 grams and higher, given intravenously, it also has some anti-tumoral properties. But for those who are going to use high doses of vitamin C intravenously, We have to make sure that they have good kidney function and that they are not G6PD deficient. These are tests that you could do through regular blood work. This would prevent any side effects from the intravenous use of vitamin C. And by the way, high doses of vitamin C were used in COVID patients who had severe symptoms. And basically it worked by functioning as an immune modulator. Basically, it helped with what we call cytokine storm, in which the body produces a lot of what we call pro-inflammatory cytokines or chemicals, causing all the symptoms like hypotension, etc. And there was some other question regarding COVID. How long will it last? Based on the history of other coronaviruses like SARS and MERS, they only lasted 2 years, supposedly, even without the use of vaccines. So, and it takes about a year or two to create a safe and effective vaccine. So probably by the time they create one, it may not be present anymore. Or it may have mutated so much that the vaccine won't be effective at all.
Boy.
Really important right now is to take care of our immune system with the 10 steps that I recommended earlier. And of course, use immune boosting supplements, use immune boosting herbs and plants and medicinal fungus.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay, back to
Yeah.
Dr. Toby.
Yeah, there was a question about the dose of coconut oil. Well, of course, the clinical studies are still ongoing to actually validate, the dose that's used. But the rule of thumb is 3 tablespoons a day. Now, if you can actually take it. If you can take the VCO, which I do, you can take 3 tablespoons in the morning. But if you cannot, tolerate, a big intake and all at once, you can take it 1 tablespoon with each meal. Now, regarding the quality of VCO, of course, I can't endorse any VCO product. I know the manufacturer of Green Life as well as ProSource. They're both my friends. So, but we do have a project. We're in the 2nd year now, where we're helping the VCO industry improve the quality of their product. I think the quick answer is that in the early 2000s, when interest in VCO shot up, a lot of people went into it without really knowing what it takes to produce quality VCO. And it's really not that simple. To have quality VCO, you need some knowledge of food science, good manufacturing practice, and HACCP, hazard control. Yeah. So unfortunately, a lot of money was given to LGUs, and they did it as a poverty alleviation strategy. But you can try to alleviate poverty, but if the people don't know how to make quality VCO, then the quality suffers, and then people get disappointed, and then they stop taking it. So what we're trying to do is help the VCO industry produce quality VCO consistently, and hopefully, the project we're doing will achieve that. So, yeah, hopefully we can look forward to quality products in the future for VCO.
Okay, have we gone through all the questions? Or, Dr. Lopez, you haven't answered my question.
Yeah, about cacao. So cacao is rich in something that we call polyphenols. So basically it has antioxidant properties.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, it's also rich in what we call magnesium. So magnesium helps lowering blood pressure. and it also helps with depression and anything where there's stiffness in the body. So high blood pressure, asthma, fibromyalgia, and muscle rigidity. So it helps with all those things. So yeah, there are a lot of nutrients that you could find in cacao that actually would help with a lot of ailments. But you gotta get it in its natural form, since like milk chocolate is not that healthy compared to dark chocolates. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Are there any other answers to any other questions that we missed? If there aren't any, we're going to close.
Marie,
Randy,
I
yes.
know we already passed the portion where we field the questions, but we have one coming from Roshani Gallardo. I believe this is the first time that she joined us. The question is chia seeds effective for detoxification? I would imagine this would go to Father Joel.
You're breaking up. I can't understand what you're saying. Or is it just my internet connection?
Maybe it's
okay.
your connection.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Randy, please.
All right. Pahabol to, no, from somebody who probably joined us for the first time, from Rosaini Gallardo. And her question is chia seeds effective for detoxification?
Yeah, any type of food that's rich in fiber is helpful in detoxification. And of course, this are rich sources of omega-3 fatty acids as well. So they have anti-inflammatory benefits too. But anything that's high in fiber, whether it's be soluble or insoluble fiber, would be beneficial for the detoxification process, as well as lowering cholesterol or harmful cholesterol levels.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more? If there aren't any more, I think, Randy, you might want to read some of the comments that came in. The, congratulatory stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Randy.
Hold on. All right. Okay, may mga pahabol. That Miss Gallardo, the one that yung humabol, is from Mindanao State University. Okay. So, okay, I have a thank you from Rosane, from Miss Gallardo. Nasiningit ko, sabi ko baka tapos na, no, but we'll try to get your question through. We have also another thank you from Fainma Olindag. Okay. All right. Here's another one from Janet Razo. Maraming salamat po sa mainit na pagtanggap. Ako po'y nagtuturo sa St. Louis University at graduate student sa University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So this is probably from Baguio pa siguro to. I am a strong advocate po ng planetary health ng ating bansa at ang mga natutunan ko sa inyo ngayon hapon ay akmang-akma sa Philippines. Maraming salamat din, Janet Razo. Okay, I think that's it, Marie.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for all the comments, the messages that you sent via chat. And now, since we did not, we're going to close the third portion of our...
Question.
Okay. Go ahead, Nina.
Okay. Okay, we've been talking about virgin coconut oil because it's really unprocessed practically, no? But what about coconut oil as cooking oil? Or coconut oil which has been extracted by heat? Okay, so ito beyond, of course, no? And then, what about the quality of coconuts? Is that something to consider among varieties of coconuts? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are both for Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this quality of coconuts. The most common coconut variety we have is what they call yung Laguna Tol, yung mataas. And that one contains anywhere from 45 to 53% lauric acid. Now, the new varieties which PCA is producing for replanting, and some of these are yung mga dwarf coconuts have higher lauric acid.
Oh.
But they're not that popular because sometimes the farmers say yung infestation is also a issue. So they're familiar with the tall variety and how sturdy it is. And some of the new varieties, they're not so confident about the infestation. Yeah. So that's still an ongoing thing. When you asked about VCO versus cooking oil is produced from copra. And this is yung copra process was developed during mga 1850s pa, when they wanted to export coconut to Europe. It would be exported in the form of copra. So they would dry the meat and then put that on the boat and then send that to Europe, where they actually use it for cosmetics and other stuff. But that practice has continued until now. So it's almost 160-year-old process. And it actually gives the lowest yield to the farmer in terms of income. But the system is there. So it will take a while to convert people. Kasi yun ang napagsanayan ng mga magsasaka. It's easier for them to make copra and sell it than to make VCO, which needs technology. So what you really need are entrepreneurs and people who know technology to set up processing plants in the regions where you can, kasi your product is not only coconut oil. You can also make coconut meat, coconut cream, even coconut water if you can preserve the water. So coconut's a multi-product resource. But to take advantage of all the multi-products, you need a lot of technology and investment. And you really can't expect the farmer to produce that. I mean, to set up a factory to process it. So we really need people who engineers and businessmen who can help build up the factory as well as the value chain, the market. And that's what they're trying to do now. I mean, you just don't invest a lot of money in a factory because wala ka palang market. So yeah, you have to look at the entire thing from production to customer. And that's not a simple thing to do. So, but fortunately, it's starting to happen. There are young people who are encouraging mga OFWs. In fact, there was a webinar just earlier this week. Because of this COVID, a lot of OFWs are going to be coming back. Anong gagawin nila? But many of these OFWs are highly trained. Marami engineers, they're educated people. So it would be good if you can take advantage of their expertise and they can, learn how to process coconut in multi-product, and in the end, it will help the farmer. So I guess that's a work in progress.
Marie. Marie,
Hi.
can
Yes,
you hear
ma'am.
me? Hi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay na. Mag-greet muna ako today. I'd like to remind everyone, it's the Feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So it's good to be with you guys today. Our heart for each other and for Mother Earth and for our country kasi Rizal, di ba?
Okay.
Second, it is also Laudato Si anniversary in a way yesterday. But the more important thing that I want to announce that I really feel that you need to know, and we are doing something in line with it, is that the Vatican released a new document just yesterday, just a few hours. And
Okay.
it is a 200-page document. It is parang like a supplement to Laudato Si. It's a user's guide. it contains
Okay.
practical implications about Laudato Si. And you know what chapter 1 is, which I think is related to our forum? Chapter
Okay.
1 is about ecological education. So I think what we're doing here, in a way, ecology of media, ecology, alternative education through this, especially very alternative because this is our first online, di ba? As Green
Yes.
Convergence and as Kamayan. So praise our God of
Yes.
surprises. So that's it. Thank you, Dr. Toby Rairit and
Okay.
Dr.
Yeah, good to see you.
Dr. Jose Lopez.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Toby and Dr. Joel. Yes, okay, thank you, Gwen. And now I think wala nang hahabol, ha?
My group picture.
It says
Yeah,
my
yeah.
internet connection is unstable. Oh, it's gone now.
Hey,
So we're
Marie.
closing part 3 of Forum
Marie.
Proper.
Group picture.
And,
Marie. Yeah.
yes.
My suggestion, let's have a screenshot of all those who participated in our first online Kamayan
Yes,
forum.
but that is at the end.
Ay, hindi pa pala
Yes.
Hindi
Yes,
pa ba? Hindi pa
Randy.
closing?
Randy, that is at the end.
Okay,
We
okay.
still have a few more things to do before the end, okay?
All right.
Okay, so we've had a very interesting discussion
Hello.
today. Thanks to our resource speakers,
Hello, I
Drs.
have a
Joel,
question. It's
Toby,
not I
and
raised my
Hi.
hand.
I think
raised
it
my
has
hand.
shown.
Randy.
Sige, si Pacheco, may tanong mo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's a lot of noise going on, but I think this session has shown that Mother Nature takes good care of us, and that if we just go back to nature, it will protect us from present and future illnesses and viruses. That's the natural way to go. It has been shown to us by our resource speakers.
Can I just talk?
Ay, may tanong ko si
I have a question.
Oh, no, the questions are over. We're already finishing. So I'm sorry.
But I mean, it was
have to
read
do
and I have not been answered. It has been read, but I was not answered.
Okay,
That's
okay,
why I'm going.
fine.
Okay,
So, okay,
that's why I want.
Who did you ask?
I asked both of them. I'd like to ask the question from Dr. Lopez and from Toby. Yeah.
Okay, could you repeat
short,
the question
very
just
short.
in case they forgot?
Yeah, just very short. I want to ask because this question. Should I do it now? Okay.
Yes, please ask now.
Yeah. We all know that cocoa oil is very important and its benefits are splendid, okay? But I want to ask both of them, are there any contraindications for using coconut oil?
Contraindications. Well, I think it's probably from overdose. If you take too much, and especially if you don't exercise, it's still calories. So, like if you take 3 tablespoons a day, that's equal to about 15-18% of your total caloric intake. So, kailangan magbabawas ka rin ng 15 to 18 calories of, let's say, other fats. So, I guess the contraindication, especially if you're older, baka tumaas ang inyong triglycerides kung marami kang kinukuha kasi hindi ka naman, hindi mo na process mo, wala kang exercise. The other thing is, I guess you get an upset stomach. But then that's a self-limiting thing. I guess it's similar to vitamin C. They're both non-toxic. And if you take too much, then you get an upset stomach. So then you stop taking it. But otherwise,
no, pretty safe.
Yeah, wala namang wala namang reported na deaths from taking coconut.
Okay, is that a good answer? Can we proceed now to the ending of our
Dr. Lopez might want to answer that too.
Okay, Dr. Lopez, do you want to add to that?
Ay, naka-mute.
Dr. Lopez. Sorry about that. I was saying there's nothing more to add. Dr. Toby gave a real good answer to that question. But just as a side note, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's like 4 years ago. But I was able to take her off of meds and used VCO to help her
Wow.
regain her memory back. So
Yes.
there are
Wow.
doctors in the States that are using it. They're using MCT oil
Yes.
because they couldn't find some good remedy for memory loss. But VCO is really good for
I have
that.
a friend, doctor, who was also using it for Parkinson's. Is
Yes.
that okay? Is that effective for Parkinson's too?
I would
Dr.
think so.
Lopez? Huh? Well,
Can
anyway,
harm.
that's the magic of coconut oil. No? So as
Yeah,
I was
that's really
saying, we
good.
need not despair. We need not feel helpless or hopeless because we have nature to depend on. And that's what this is all about. We are Green Convergence for safe food, healthy environment, and sustainable economy. And we subscribe to returning to nature for all our needs. Okay, so since we were not able to listen to Dr. Nina Galang earlier for her welcome remarks, we now want to listen to her for her closing remarks. Dr. Nina Galang, President of Green Convergence.
Okay. Thank you, Marie and Randy, for a very able moderating. Of course, Toby and Dr. Lopez for the very informative talks. I'm so glad that Toby, the direct ended with the the call for more investment in, say, factories for producing VCO and other coconut products. Okay, our name is Green Convergence for Safe Food, Healthy Environment, Sustainable Economy. So we should look at technologies which are homegrown and which use our products and use our native, our people, our engineers, our scientists, who are all going out of the country because the opportunities for work, for their work, engineers, scientists, nutritionists, etc., are more used in other countries because they have the businesses, they have the industries to use them. So this industry, maximizing the use of coconut is a has big potential for hiring these people, and I think we should be on the lookout for more of this, and that is sustainable development, no, using our resources, using our people, and producing products which are for our people. The bonus will be, I mean, the extra can be exported, but if we look at those, look at our natural resources, our human resources, the basic needs of our people before anything else, I think we can do that. Would be a big service to country. And the fact that it is a potential for curing COVID, oh my, and people are waiting for the vaccines from China, from the US, from the UK. When nandito pa lang sa Pilipinas yung answer. I really believe in my heart that it is the answer, both for cure and for boosting our immune system. And of course, as Dr. Lopez also pointed out, our natural foods are rich in all these things that are needed: vitamin C, zinc, selenium. Our biodiversity is so high. So it's not hard to imagine that we have all these sources just here in our ecosystems. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Okay.
God bless.
Before we have our group photo, meaning screenshot of everyone, Convergence website. And the next Kamayan Forum will be on the third Friday, as usual, of next month. And that is going to be on July 17th. We hope we will see you then. Until then, remember to, as Dr. Joel said, laugh because it is a very good antioxidant. So let's all laugh together.
There are two ladies who came up with the same question. One from Urli Anino and one from Irish
Yes.
Tohan. Do we have an e-certificate? Smile.
Okay, Joper, please tell us when it's
Wait lang po kasi
you've taken the
bumagal
screenshot.
yung internet. Sorry.
Okay,
All
bumabagal
right.
ang internet.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Take
once
two.
again. Can you please open your videos po so that we can view you on
Open
the
your
screenshot?
videos so that we can see you all.
Okay, wait lang po.
And
Still
smile.
loading. Wait lang po. Still loading po yung mga videos.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to wait for everyone to load their videos.
Hey, you're all here.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I smile. That's the first one. Here's another one for the second group of people.
Hindi kasha.
Yes.
Ganun
hindi
kadami
po
ba?
kasha.
Ang dami.
Ano bang total natin?
Kanina po umabot pa ata ng 60.
Wow.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Your hand.
That's nice.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Bye. See you on July 17th.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Bye, Sonia.
Thank you, Toby.
Esther.
Dr. Lopez, salamat.
Bye.
Sige, pare.
Vicky.
Dr. Toby.
Ernie.
Dr.
Thank you,
Joel.
Gandhi.
Bye.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, Divina.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Sige, Randy.
Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
pare ko. Thank you. Good.
Yeah, salamat din.
Take
All
care.
right, pare.
God bless.
Thank you.
Sige, Dr. Lopez.